Have you ever felt like your greatest strength was also your biggest burden? What if your breakdown wasn't a failure, but a prophecy unfolding? And what if the one ancient secret that could save you has been buried inside you all along? Listen carefully, Virgo. This isn't just another reading. This is your soul's reminder, your quiet nudge. It's a message that's been echoing through the stars, the stories, and your own body. Let me ask you something else. Have you ever walked into a room and felt something was off before anyone said a word? Have you ever known someone was lying just by how the air shifted? Have you ever dreamed something and then watched it happen exactly as you saw it? That's not a coincidence. That's your code, the one Nostradamus spoke of, the one hidden in plain sight. And Virgo, it's time to remember. You're exhausted, Virgo, not just physically, but soul deep. You've walked the tightrope of perfection for so long that the rope itself has frayed beneath your feet. You've kept everything together, your plans, your people, your promises. But in the quiet moments when no one's watching, you wonder, what's the point? The world praises your order, your discipline, your logic, but no one sees the toll. And now, even you begin to question it. You don't want to quit, but something in you is begging for a sign. It's not weakness, it's weariness, and it's trying to lead you somewhere deeper. The cards have spoken. The star reveals your soul still remembers the path, but the devil whispers temptations, distraction, escape, ease. The 10 of Wands shows the weight you've carried, long, heavy, unrelenting. But spirit is clear. Don't change course out of exhaustion. Not yet, because the sun is coming. A moment of clarity, of revelation, where the reason you began this journey will flood back. Spirit is asking you to endure just a little longer, to stay on the path, even if it feels meaningless right now. What you're seeking isn't elsewhere. It's waiting just beyond this moment. You're not lost. You're being refined. Centuries ago, Nostradamus wrote of a sign that would carry the balance of the cosmos. Not Leo, not Scorpio, but Virgo. He called you the guardian of balance, not of schedules, but of sacred harmony. The one who feels what others ignore. The one who restores order when the world descends into chaos. Your sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's a legacy. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to recalibrate the world. And the prophecy says, when Virgo remembers, the world realigns. That remembering begins now. Let me tell you something that might sound strange at first, but deep down, Virgo, I think you already know it's true. Before there were bullet journals, productivity apps, and color-coded spreadsheets, there were temples, real temples. Silent, sacred spaces filled with incense, chanting, and wisdom passed from one generation to the next. And in those temples, they were whispering your name, not as Virgo, no, but as the watcher, the weaver, the one who kept sacred order. You weren't the star of the show standing in the spotlight. You were the one behind the scenes, holding it all together. The silent stabilizer, the quiet strength. You saw what others missed. You noticed the shift in energy before the chaos arrived. You didn't need to be loud. You just needed to be right. And you usually were. Back in ancient Babylon, they had scribes, spiritual guides, who read the stars and translated their meaning for kings. And guess who always stood beside them? The person who held the order, the person who remembered the details, the one who brought logic and clarity when everyone else was panicking. That was you, Virgo. In Egypt, there were priestesses who would sit under moonlight, feeling the rhythms of the earth, not measuring time in hours, but in tides, in intuition. That, too, was your energy. In Greece, they told the story of Astrea, the last immortal who walked among humans. When she could no longer stand the corruption of mankind, she left Earth and became the constellation Virgo. That's not a coincidence, that's a breadcrumb trail, one pointing straight back to your ancient roots. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. As power became politics and logic was favored over wisdom, your gifts started getting minimized, rewritten. Instead of being seen as intuitive, They called you overly sensitive. Instead of calling you precise, they labeled you controlling. The healer became the perfectionist. The guide became the micromanager. And you started believing it. Maybe it happened in childhood when you were told to stop being so particular. Or maybe later when someone told you that your deep observations were just overthinking. So you adapted, you shrank, you got smaller, you stayed quiet. And somewhere in all of that, your magic got buried under a pile of to-do lists. But here's the truth. That gift, it never left you. It's just been waiting, quietly, patiently, like a candle in the dark corner of a forgotten temple, waiting for you to walk back in and light it. So, let me remind you, you didn't come from noise. You came from knowing. You didn't come from chaos. You came from clarity. And the world? It desperately needs that clarity now. You were never meant to be ordinary. You were born to notice what others ignore, to feel the shift in energy when someone walks into a room, to hear what isn't being said. That's not being dramatic. That's being divine. And it's time you remembered that. Have you been feeling kind of off lately? Like something big is stirring just beneath the surface? You wake up in the middle of the night, maybe 3:33 a.m. You get chills before someone speaks, and then they say exactly what you were feeling. You walk into a room and instantly know if something's wrong, even when everyone's smiling. That's not a coincidence. That's not anxiety either. That's intuition. That's your nervous system tuning into signals most people can't even detect. But let's be honest, you've been brushing it off, haven't you? You've told yourself it's just overthinking, that you're being too sensitive again, that there's no proof. And because it doesn't come with a spreadsheet or a checklist, you ignore it. But that quiet nudge, that subtle whisper in your chest, it's not wrong. It's never been wrong. Let me tell you a quick story. There's a woman I knew, let's call her Elena. She was a Virgo through and through, methodical, smart, always on time. Her planner was a thing of beauty, but beneath all that structure, she felt disconnected. She would get hunches about people, dreams that would later come true, but she kept pushing them aside because they didn't make sense. Until one day, she cracked, not dramatically, but softly. She was just standing at her sink, washing dishes, when the tears came. Nothing bad had happened. It just hit her. She didn't feel like herself anymore. That night, she did something she hadn't done in years. She lit a candle, sat in silence, and started writing. About everything. The rage, the grief, the dreams. And that's when it shifted. She started remembering. Not just with her mind, but with her body, her energy, her presence. And people noticed. Friends said things like, "I feel calmer when you're around," or, "You always say exactly what I need to hear." That wasn't new. That was her real self finally coming home. And you've got that same magic, those signs, those little nudges, gut feelings, repeating numbers, strange dreams. They're not random. They're invitations. The universe is literally tapping on your shoulder saying, "Wake up, remember, come back." You don't need to explain your magic to anyone. You just need to start honoring it again through your presence, your stillness, your awareness, your attention to the subtle. Because the moment you stop doubting and start trusting, you step into power that most people can't even comprehend. And the moment you do that, everything starts to align. The signs get louder, the right people show up, doors open, not because of luck, but because you finally remembered who you are. And Virgo, who you are, is someone the world has been waiting for. Okay, Virgo, it's time to get real. You've done the thinking. You've felt the tug in your chest. Now it's time to reconnect, practically, spiritually, fully. Let's talk about rituals. Not routines, not productivity hacks. Rituals, the kind that shift energy, anchors your presence, and reminds your soul that it still matters. Start with this. Every morning before you check your phone or your to-do list, sit. Just for 5 minutes, eyes closed, no music, no distractions, just you and your breath. It might feel awkward at first. Your brain will race. You'll want to fidget. That's okay. Sit through it. On the other side of that resistance, stillness. And in that stillness, your true voice. Then there's journaling. Not the kind where you track habits or write down goals. I mean heart journaling. Every night ask yourself one question. What did I feel today? Not what you accomplished, not who you texted back. What did you feel? Write it raw, write it messy. Over time, you'll start to notice a pattern. Your feelings are a map and your journal is the trail. And nature, Virgo, don't even get me started on how much you need it. You're an earth sign. The trees are your kin. The ocean is your mirror. When the noise of life gets loud, step outside. Take off your shoes. Let your feet touch the ground. Watch the sky shift. Smell the air. 10 minutes a day is enough to reset your nervous system. Enough to remember that your soul wasn't built for screens and traffic and deadlines. It was built for seasons and silence and sacred rhythm. Need something more expressive? Try this. Create something. Anything. Paint with your fingers. Dance to your favorite playlist. Cook a meal with no recipe. Sing in the shower. Draw a circle on a piece of paper and color it in like a child. Creativity isn't about results. It's about release. It bypasses that part of your brain that wants control and goes straight to the soul. And don't forget the power of tiny rituals. Light a candle before you work. Whisper a kind word to yourself as you drink your tea. Pull a tarot or oracle card in the morning and let it guide your intention. These acts aren't silly, they're sacred. They signal to your spirit that it's safe to be awake again. Because here's the truth. Your gift doesn't need a grand ceremony to return. It just needs space. It needs permission. And these small daily acts, that's how you give it both. Let's zoom out now, because this isn't just about you. It's about timing, cosmic timing, the kind you can't fake, rush, or replicate. 2025 is no ordinary year. It's packed, like universe on steroids packed, with alignments that are basically tailor-made for Virgo transformation. Let's break it down. First up, supermoons. You know those nights when the moon feels way too close, almost like it's staring directly into your soul? That's not your imagination. Supermoons amplify everything. Emotions, dreams, gut instincts. They turn whispers into roars. And for someone like you, who already picks up on subtle shifts, those nights can feel electric, overwhelming, or like truth is just everywhere. Use that. Don't run from it. Supermoons are your spotlight, the perfect time to write down what you're ready to release. Burn a letter, light a candle, say something out loud that you've been holding in. The energy is charged, make it count. Then there's Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, abundance. When Jupiter moves through key points in your chart, things can shift fast. New opportunities, unexpected breakthroughs, people showing up who change everything. But here's the thing about Jupiter. It only helps those who move. You've got to meet it halfway. That means applying for that dream job, starting that passion project, reaching out to the mentor you've been scared to message. Jupiter opens doors, but you still have to walk through them. Now let's talk Saturn. If Jupiter's the cheerleader yelling you can do it, Saturn's the coach with arms crossed, waiting for proof. Saturn asks for structure, consistency, no shortcuts, no fluff. And that can feel heavy, especially for you, Virgo, someone who already takes responsibility seriously. But here's the good part. Saturn also gives rewards that last. You do the work, you build the foundation, and Saturn gives you something no one can take away. Now imagine all three, supermoons, Jupiter, Saturn, active at once. You don't have to imagine. That's 2025. This combination, it's like having divine electricity, fertile soil, and rock-solid roots, all at once. You're being asked to plant a new kind of seed, one that aligns with your true path. Not the path you chose out of fear or practicality, the one that feels wild, honest, scary, and true. You might be wondering what that seed looks like. For some Virgos, it's finally launching the thing they've talked about for years. For others, it's leaving behind a relationship or job that no longer fits. And for many, it's simply choosing themselves for the first time. Here's a story to ground this. One Virgo I worked with had been in the same job for 10 years. It was safe, but she felt like she was disappearing. One supermoon, she couldn't sleep. She got out of bed and wrote down everything she was afraid of and everything she wanted. 3 weeks later, she put in her notice. Within 6 months, she'd started a wellness business. Was it easy? No. Was it aligned? Absolutely. And she said this one thing I'll never forget. I stopped waiting for the stars to fix me and started dancing with them. That's the energy, Virgo. You're not a passive recipient of fate. You're a co-creator with the cosmos. In 2025, it's your dance floor. So when those alignments hit, don't freeze, move, trust the timing, follow the nudges, plant the seed, and let the universe show you what's been waiting on the other side. Because you weren't just made for this moment. This moment was made for you. Virgo, we need to talk about something that might be holding you back more than anything else. Perfectionism. You've always wanted to get it just right. Every plan, every word, every step. You hold yourself to a standard so high it's almost unreachable. And look, that's made you reliable, dependable, trustworthy. People count on you because you don't cut corners. You notice details others miss. But here's the flip side. How many dreams have you postponed because they weren't quite ready? Let's be real. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start when I'm more confident or when the timing feels better? And then, it never happens. Perfectionism isn't just about high standards. It's fear wearing a fancy outfit. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of being vulnerable. So you wait, you tweak, you overthink, and in doing so, you keep yourself small. You weren't made to stay small. Let me give you an example. There was a Virgo artist I met who had a whole portfolio of work, paintings, poetry, even music. But no one had ever seen it. Why? Because she was still editing, still questioning, still waiting for it to be perfect. I told her this. What if your unfinished work is exactly what someone else needs to see, right now? She shared one poem online, just one. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. And within days, a stranger messaged her and said that poem helped them through a hard night. That one act, it changed everything. Sometimes progress means choosing done over perfect. It means showing up messy, but real. It means trusting that your presence matters more than your polish. So the next time you feel stuck, don't wait for perfection. Take the leap, send the message, share the idea, apply for the thing. Life doesn't wait for perfection. And deep down, neither should you. Now, let's get specific. There's a date you need to circle on your calendar, April 13th, 2025. That's not just a random Sunday. That's a cosmic checkpoint. A supercharged moment designed for clarity, courage, and deep transformation, especially for you, Virgo. Why this date? Because astrologically, it's a day when multiple forces align in your favor. We've got a powerful full moon lighting up your chart. Jupiter's making a harmonious aspect with Mercury, your ruling planet. And Saturn? It's finally moving out of a tough angle that's been putting pressure on you since last year. In plain terms, the fog is lifting, your voice gets stronger, and the universe starts echoing back what you've been quietly praying for. Here's what to do that day. Wake up early, before the world gets noisy. Sit down with a notebook and ask yourself 3 questions. What am I done tolerating? What am I ready to claim? What am I willing to release? Write without editing, let the truth pour out, then do something physical. Take a walk, stretch, move your body in a way that feels good. Why? Because transformation doesn't just live in the mind, it has to move through the body. That afternoon or evening, light a candle. Set an intention. Doesn't have to be poetic, just honest. Maybe I'm ready to be seen. Maybe it's because I trust myself. Maybe it's just that I'm tired of hiding. Speak it out loud. Yes, really. Your voice carries power on days like this. There's something about sound that makes a promise feel real. And here's the key. Take one bold action before midnight. Doesn't have to be huge, just brave. Apply for the thing, make the call, write the post, start the outline, book the trip, burn the letter. The size doesn't matter. Sincerity does, because when you move in alignment with these cosmic energies, the universe moves with you. Not because you forced it, not because you were perfect, but because you said yes. This is your turning point, Virgo. April 13th isn't just a date, it's a doorway. And when you walk through it with courage, even a little, the next version of you starts to unfold. So, how will you show up? The stars are watching, but more importantly, you are. And honestly, that's all that's ever mattered. Here's the thing most people don't realize. Your perfectionism isn't just about high standards. It's also a form of protection. Somewhere along the way, you learned that if you just got it right, if you said the perfect thing, wore the perfect mask, delivered the perfect result, you'd be safe. People would accept you. You wouldn't be criticized. But what if the real safety isn't in perfection, but in authenticity? Here's another real-life moment. A Virgo man named Caleb spent years trying to write the perfect first chapter of a novel. Years. He rewrote it over and over until one day his daughter, just 8 years old, asked him why he never let anyone read it. He froze. She said, "How will they know your story if you don't tell it?" That day he printed the chapter and gave it to a friend. The response? "This is powerful. Why were you hiding this? Caleb's story is yours too." Sometimes the fear of not being enough tricks us into staying invisible. But perfection doesn't connect people. Honesty does. So start sharing, even if your voice shakes, even if your hands tremble. Because what you've been holding in could be the very thing someone else is waiting for. Now let's add a little power to April 13th. This date isn't just about action, it's about realignment. It's a spiritual checkpoint, a chance to clean house inside and out. That morning, open your windows, let light in, burn incense or play music that makes your soul exhale. Physical space affects emotional energy. Clear the clutter and you'll feel your thoughts untangle too. And if you want to supercharge the day, do something ancestral. Light a candle for someone who came before you. Write them a letter, or just say thank you. Honoring your lineage, even if you don't know all the names, connects you to deeper roots, reminds you that you're not alone, that you walk with those who came before and those who will come after. When you honor the moment honors you. And April 13th, 2025, that's more than just a date. That's a mirror, one that reflects your readiness, one that shows you just how far you've come and how ready you are for what's next. So don't overthink it. Just begin with one action, one truth, one choice, and let the ripple move through your life like sunlight on water. So here we are, Virgo. After all the signs, all the shifts, all the sacred whispers, it comes down to this: a moment, a breath, a choice. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about coming home to who you've always been. And I get it. Transformation sounds big. It sounds like burning it all down and starting over. But that's not the kind of awakening we're talking about here. This is the kind that begins in small moments, in quiet choices, in the decision to trust your gut instead of your fear, in choosing stillness when the world wants noise, in whispering to yourself, "I matter," even when no one else says it out loud. Let's make it real. Maybe for you, awakening means saying no to the thing that drains you. Maybe it means saying yes to something that scares you just a little. Maybe it's lighting a candle before bed and saying a silent thank you for surviving a hard day. Or maybe it's as simple as placing your hand on your heart right now and asking, "What do I need today?" These are sacred acts, Virgo. They're not small, they're powerful. And every time you choose presence over perfection, truth over fear, softness over self-judgment, you heal. Not just yourself, but the world around you. You don't have to do it alone either. There are others like you, quiet guides, deep feelers, old souls wrapped in modern skin. People who are also waking up, also remembering, also wondering if they're the only ones. Find them. Speak your truth, even if it's just one sentence. That's how we find each other. And if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. You're not broken. You're blooming. You're not too sensitive. You're precisely tuned, you're not falling behind, you're arriving in your own time, in your own way. So here's what I want you to do. If this message stirred something inside you, don't let it fade. Anchor it. Light a candle tonight. Take one deep breath. Say one kind thing to yourself. And then take one step, any step. Write the thing. Say the truth. Forgive the past. Choose the future. Because this world doesn't need a more perfect version of you. It needs a more present one. And Virgo, the more you remember who you are, the more the rest of us remember too. So if this message hit home, drop a comment below. Let me know what part resonated. Let's create a ripple together. Because when one Virgo rises, we all rise. You're not alone, and you were never meant to be. And if you're still doubting whether any of this really matters, whether your awakening, your healing, your voice has any real impact, let me share this. There was a Virgo named Talia who felt invisible for most of her life. Quiet, observant, always the one people turned to, but never the one people truly saw. One day, after years of silence, she wrote a letter to herself, not a journal entry, but a love letter to her own soul. She read it out loud, and something shifted. She began speaking up in meetings, saying what she needed in her relationships, letting herself be seen, not just the perfect parts, but the real ones. That letter, it wasn't magic. It was her remembering, and from that one act, everything changed. Because she changed. So don't underestimate your power, Virgo. The world doesn't need you to be louder, flashier, or more like anyone else. It just needs you to be fully, deeply, unapologetically you. That's the awakening, and it begins right now. At Dharma Cosmos, we don't just read the stars. We translate the universe. This is where ancient wisdom meets your modern path, where cosmic codes are unlocked, where seekers become guided souls. If you're ready to remember your true self, this is where the remembering begins. Dharma Cosmos, the place where the secrets of the universe come to life.